an exciting time for us. I'm excited to be here and reveal a little bit of our new brand with you and present it through some PowerPoint voodoo and get you guys thinking a little bit about how to apply Agile to agency operations and any of the work that you do in the agency. Ooh, new brand. So applying Agile, we call this really the need for speed. So as you mentioned before, really today it's about how quickly can we generate great work and how quickly can we work with our clients to find ways to collaborate with them. And Wunderman Thompson is a creative data and technology agency. Being agile and being able to adapt to all those different types of work outputs is extremely important. So when you think about operations, sometimes operations is not the most sexiest part of the agency, but again, that's the thing that makes the agency work and come and deliver in the right way. So our mission is inspiring growth for ambitious brands. This is a brand new mission that we're putting out to the marketplace. And we love the idea that everyone is looking to grow. Everyone is looking to not just grow from a revenue standpoint, but grow as people, as consumers, and for who we are and all the various aspects of what we deliver. Being ambitious and working with ambitious brands is what we aspire to. So sort of jumping into Agile and why it's important, I thought this quote was really great, which is, while the scope of changes required for transformation may seem daunting, they represent a rare and compelling opportunity to rethink, reshape, and reinvigorate your business, to remaster it for a new digital future. So for us, obviously going through this merger and being a strongly rooted digital agency, transformation is nothing new, but transformation continues to be very, very important as our clients expect innovation. They expect us to move at the speed of light, and they're looking for new ideas. So I really felt like this quote really rang true with me. So for most of you that know Agile or don't know Agile, I thought this is another interesting fact. So about 75% of senior decision makers surveyed want to be able to move their business towards a more agile way of working, but more than a third of them have no idea what Agile really means or how to get started in the discussion and the process around it. And when you look at some other studies around Agile, most companies say, yes, of course I want to be Agile. It's a buzzword. I want to be nimble. I want to be quick. I want to be out there working with my clients and proving that I can do the best for them in a quick and expedient fashion. But most times, the things that stand in the way of agility are things like leadership and lack of buy-in and not having the right organization design. So I'm sure that rings true with a lot of you. So how do we get there? How do we transform ourselves from being agile or thinking about agile? For many of you who may or may not be involved in some of the digital work, Agile really was born out of software development. And it was a methodology really constructed so that you got to incremental design and incremental features at the end of a sprint period, usually a week or two, as opposed to really an old waterfall process where one group would do their work, they would hand off to the next group, and so forth. And so really you changed that shift where you'll be able to go out to a client and say, hey, by the end of this week, your e-commerce section is going to be working. And it really changed the way that software companies got to market. And most of the Silicon Valley companies work in Agile. It's how they get on their business. And they're living in beta, they're incrementally pushing work out to the marketplace. So taking that as a principle and applying it to an enterprise is, I think, going to be game-changing for many of us, at least in the ad industry, as well as obviously, that happening in more stable industries. So it's really being able to apply the successful application of those notions into your business and doing it through things like resourcing, creating the right tasking, the right task force teams, doing the right planning. Agile, if you guys are familiar with it, you spend a lot of time really coming up with what they call epics or stories and plans and use cases. And you start to think about, like, what are those stories that we want to tell, and how do we want to plan those out priority? And so, well, again, you might be building a product. If you think about your business, it still applies. It still applies for the work that you're trying to accomplish for that year. So what is Agile? It's a mindset shift, and includes things like making sure that you have the right individuals and the right interactions between those individuals, the right process and tools in place. And we talk a little bit about that and what we've done at Wunderman COO. Collaboration is key. No longer can you work in silos. On the way here, I was talking with our global CMO and describing Agile to her, and like, basically, Agile is the silo killer. Agile requires everyone to come together from multiple disciplines to do the work together, as opposed to creative going off here, HR going off here. It really fosters a great way for the work to come from a multiple set of disciplines. It also requires strong negotiation, because you are trying to get something out to the market very, very quickly. And then so there's sometimes you don't necessarily know, who's going to win out in terms of priority. Obviously, it drives results much more quickly. It empowers people to make decisions on what they want to work on. And it obviously requires people to be very adaptable and planful. So how do we translate that into the agency? And I call this getting agile. So really, put it as an eye chart, but this study from McKinsey shows that if you focus on things like role clarity, and you focus on resources and talent, you can transform your agency. You pivot to an agile project management team. I oversee the project management team at Wunderman COO. Agile is something that we train all of our people in. And again, when I think about Agile, it's not just doing the work on the project, it's really about how you manage a business and a relationship. And that also then ladders up to how you want to make the agency. And the last thing that really rings true in terms of the study is co-location of teams and with clients. Whether that's your internal clients or your external clients, sitting together, feeling like you're in it together is really part of the Agile philosophy. So Wunderman COO last year, we trained our top 50 global account leaders on Agile practices. When I got there, I saw that we were still working in this old-fashioned model of waterfall. It would take us a long time to get into the marketplace. It would take us a long time to deliver to clients. And we really talked about this notion of moving from a PowerPoint presentation to a prototype. Really changing the way that we actually went and worked with our clients. So through this training, we got all of our leaders really up to speed. We also, as I mentioned, did a separate training for project leaders. We also adapted this idea of an MVP. Does anyone here know what an MVP is? I'm kind of reading the latest because it says at the bottom. Has anyone ever done an MVP? An MVP is a really interesting exercise. It's really like, what's your minimum viable product? Sometimes people try to boil the ocean, and you want to solve this big goal, whether it's in your organization or with your clients. But an MVP helps you get really, really laser focused on what's the minimum viable product that I could produce that would showcase what I'm trying to accomplish or deliver in this idea. So it's really changing the way that you think. This is a nice little chart that shows how not to think of a minimum viable product. It's not incrementally building the car. It's building the thing that's most like the car that will actually deliver on the end goal, which is transportation. So building a minimum viable product, when maybe the end goal is a vehicle, really could start with a skateboard. Then it could start with a scooter. And so those are things that are actually functioning, and that's why they call them viable. One big initiative that we put in place is, coming back to bringing together these organizations, especially as they merge, is the right tools and systems. So as head of operations, I really sought out a tool that would bring us together as a company. We have about 44 offices just in North America, 170 globally. And I worked with a company called Workfront to select a tool that would really create what I'm calling an agency operations ecosystem. And it was really based on the fact that this tool is really about allowing people to do their projects in real time, allowing them to resource in real time. And in doing so, they're really putting Agile at the center because through Workfront, we can operate our projects in an Agile methodology. And again, this type of an ecosystem is something that connects us through all of our offices. This is a nice sort of like eye chart. I will tell you this is a huge undertaking to get our offices all sort of working on the same systems, to get our resources all sort of consistently, I'll call them equalized, so that we can work together. But by doing that, I think we really became much more agile. The other thing that we did is sort of like, I call it practice what we preach. So my operations team for North America, we run all of our work in Agile methodology. This little dashboard probably hard to see, but it shows that we have sprints talking about everything that we're looking to accomplish within the organization. Whether that be how to connect people across agency lines and co-collaborate, or how to make sure that we're adding the next feature to this system that allows people to be better at managing projects. Resourcing, a huge component around agility. When you do Agile projects, you dedicate people. You don't give fractions of people, you dedicate people. And the reason being is that you can only get to an output by getting everybody together, staying focused on a shared goal. So for us, we were able to sort of start connecting all of the talent that we had within the organization who was trained in Agile. And using this tool, we also it also allowed us to connect our people as well, just throughout North America. So in terms of driving up profitability, last year I think we saved about $2.5 million just over a 3 or 4 month period by using the people that existed within the agency as opposed to going out and freelancing. So I'm the new hero of our finance teams. But also, from an HR standpoint, I always think about that as like, wow, wasn't that wonderful that we enable people to co-collaborate with different offices on different clients and show them that if they work for Wunderman Memphis, they work for Wunderman North America, and they can work on any client across the country, as opposed to just being very focused on their local office. The other thing that I've spoken about is, so we've got people, tools, resources. Agile is bringing us definitely closer to our clients. One of our agency teams downtown, they hold a relationship with Con Ed, a long-standing large monopoly who was running multiple different marketing tactics in the marketplace. And they decided to fully change their whole relationship and only operate with each other in an Agile methodology. So as you can see here, they created a weekly calendar. They called it the weekly run. They defined who the product owners were. They created integrated teams. And they developed scrum teams to work on projects together. And really started to kind of get into the rhythm of working as one unit. The last thing I would say is with Agile, you really got to go all in. And at Wunderman, we chose to go all in with this notion of Wunderman Inside. Most of our clients move at the speed of retail. One big client that we work with is Best Buy out of Minneapolis. We have over 100 people sitting at their offices working with them in an Agile fashion to really get speed of work out to the marketplace. Obviously these things have other benefits in terms of limiting, issues with systems and firewalls. And it just helps you understand sort of your client's day-to-day a little bit better. So last, advantages of being on site, there are many. Efficiency, one of the things that our clients are often, asking us for is lower cost. So by sitting with your clients, you can lower overhead and increase utilization of our staff and obviously remove duplication, which is a big benefit. The Agile aspect of it allows for tighter innovation, removing sort of like the silos I mentioned before, being much more adaptable and flexible. And speed requires quick decision making, quick ability to deploy, and being highly responsive to our clients' needs. So with that, I think this notion of being inside clients and co-collaborating with them became really important for us from an Agile standpoint. So last, in terms of results, we are seeing greater results from this in-house model than you would potentially see from existing models where agencies are sitting offsite with their clients. I'm not saying it's one or the other. It's usually a hybrid in terms of how we work. But when you think about how our clients rate speed and agility, the results for speed and agility for external agencies sort of ranked in this percentage of 23%. Like, okay, my agency's quick, but about 23% quick. That increased to about an 86% rating when we asked clients, like, what was the benefit to being agile and working with you? So a significant increase in speed resulted in better collaboration. Obviously, clients felt like they had better operational control. And again, lower cost, which is another big benefit. So I hope I breezed through Agile. If anyone is really interested in understanding how to take it into their organization, please feel free to email me, reach out to me. I'm a big advocate. And I think we've seen a lot of change in the last year at Wunderman, and we'll hopefully see a lot more change as Wunderman Thompson this year. So any questions?
Yes, we do have a couple.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Robyn. So first question, how do you realistically apply Agile in a work environment where people are not at all fully allocated?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of, you don't have to be fully allocated, but at least 50% of your time needs to be dedicated to a specific Agile practice. Like fractions of people below that is a non-starter. And I've literally gone in and kind of cleared the decks for my resources and reoriented work in order to enable at least a 50% allocation.
And how have the client teams received that when you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. I try to do it as much as I can up front when we're negotiating new relationships or a new contract. But if not, I think teams really, I think that they understand, like, wow, there's going to be so much more of a benefit by working this way than the old way. And if that means that I've got to like shrink the number of people that touch my project, maybe that's for the better. Mm-hmm. I will say that I've seen projects where we have over 100 people touch that project. And that project goes on and on and on. And that's because we're only getting fractions of people. Whereas if we had just dedicated like 30 people to that project, we certainly would have made our way through it much more quickly, definitely less, a lot less more expensive. And it just would have, we would have seen so many more benefits had it been done that way.
What have you seen as some of your biggest challenges in terms of adapting agility into the environment?
Yeah, I think it really takes a mindset shift. Some of our teams who are maybe not as digitally native aren't as ready to adapt Agile. But at the same time, I think everyone's sort of getting more and more comfortable with the fact that clients and teams want to co-collaborate. Gone are the days of like go off and come back with this great idea in 3 weeks. Like no one has really, a lot of appetite for that. So, while there's some resistance, many people have come up to me and said, like, how do I do more of this? How do I really, really embody this within my work and within my team?
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, we do. So one of the things that I did last year was I put in place a really strong resource management team. And through this tool that I mentioned, Workfront, we're able to do a little bit more of the load balancing for our people. So through that and having more tools and abilities to shift work, we were able to sort of shift work off to different people in the organization so that we'd free that person up to be more fully dedicated. It's definitely, it takes some rigor. I think it's something that needs to be addressed on a weekly basis, especially when you become more and more project-based. But most agencies, especially in digital, I think are very used to that type of a cadence. And I will say, getting modern, doing this in a platform and a tool and not in Excel and not in smart sheets is critical.
All right. I know I'm violating the rules.
Sorry.
So we'll take up the question right after this, all right, because we do need to keep tracking on time.
Okay,
thank you so very, very much, Robyn.
Thank you.